Do you ever get that deep discomfort when someone mentions vulnerability?
Yeah.
That feeling where you just want to kind of
Yeah.
sidestep it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a really common reaction.
Yeah, you are definitely not alone there. In fact, the expert whose work we're diving into today, Dr. Brené Brown, she kicked off her whole journey with a pretty straightforward feeling: I freaking hate vulnerability.
Yeah, not exactly subtle.
Right. And honestly, who hasn't felt that resistance at some point?
Exactly.
But today, we're actually going to take a deep dive into the power of vulnerability, which is often kind of paradoxical. Our mission, really, is to figure out why leaning into that uncomfortable feeling is maybe the key to courage, connection, and what she calls a wholehearted life.
Yeah. And we're drawing on, years of her research, plus her own experiences, looking at what it really means to connect and, well, thrive.
It sounds like it flips the script a bit, doesn't it? From seeing vulnerability as just weakness.
Yeah, it really does. Because the common idea is that it's weakness, right? A chink in the armor, something you absolutely want to avoid.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting is her own therapist actually called it an exquisite emotion.
Exquisite. That's not the word most people would use.
No. And that's the core paradox her research uncovered. We actually get stronger by embracing vulnerability. We dare more greatly when we admit we're afraid.
Huh. It's a total reframe.
A huge reframe, yeah.
I can definitely relate to that initial resistance, though. Dr. Brown talks about her own struggle, right? Like a lock and load family motto.
And trying her whole life to basically outrun and outsmart vulnerability.
Constantly running. Sounds exhausting.
Totally. She admits building these elaborate suits of armor, keeping people at arm's length, always having an exit strategy.
Wow. Always needing a way out. That sounds isolating.
Incredibly isolating.
Yeah.
And the big turning point for her was realizing that vulnerability is actually central to this idea of wholehearted living.
Okay, wholehearted living. What does that really mean?
Well, it's not just a nice phrase. It's about engaging with life feeling worthy. Cultivating courage, compassion, connection.
And believing I am enough.
Exactly. Truly believing it deep down. That shift from always protecting yourself to embracing your imperfections, that's what unlocks, a fuller life.
Okay, so we've talked about the concept, the wholehearted idea. But what does vulnerability actually look like day to day? How does it show up?
That's such a key question. And her research participants gave really concrete examples. Things like saying, I love you first, and not knowing if I'm going to be loved back.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's big.
Or starting my own business, even exercising in public, especially when I don't know what I'm doing and I'm out of shape.
That one hits home for a lot of people, I bet.
Or admitting I'm afraid, or something really tough like laying off employees. These aren't just ideas, they're raw moments.
Real exposure. Okay, so that's what it looks like externally. What does it feel like inside?
The descriptions were so vivid. People said it feels like taking off the mask and hoping the real me isn't too disappointing.
Oof, that's vulnerable.
Yeah. Or scary and exciting, terrifying and hopeful. Some called it like taking off a straitjacket.
Freeing, but maybe scary too.
Exactly. And others said it's like the terrifying point on a roller coaster when you're about to tip over the edge.
You know that feeling.
Right before the plunge. But here's the real kicker, what she calls the crux of the struggle.
Okay.
We want to see vulnerability in other people. We admire it. But we're often repelled by our own.
So it's courage in them.
But it feels like inadequacy in me.
That's a really uncomfortable mirror, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. And talking about vulnerability, you inevitably have to talk about its counterpart, shame.
They're deeply connected.
And getting the language right here feels really important. It's not just feeling bad, is it?
No, absolutely not. And the research draws a super critical line between shame and guilt.
Okay, what's the difference?
Guilt is basically, I did something bad. It focuses on a behavior. And actually, guilt can be helpful, right? It can motivate us to change that behavior.
Right, like I shouldn't have done that, I'll fix it.
Exactly. But shame is different. Shame says, I am bad.
Oh, that's much deeper.
It's so destructive and attacks our very sense of self. It corrodes the very part of us that believes we can change and do better. It's not about what you did, it's about who you are.
That distinction is huge. I did bad versus I am bad.
Yeah.
But it feels like they get tangled up so easily for people.
They really do.
So what are the consequences of that I am bad feeling taking root?
Well, the data is pretty stark. Shame is highly correlated with really serious issues. Addiction, violence, aggression, depression, eating disorders, bullying.
Wow, all of those.
Yep. And there's simply no data to support that shame is a helpful compass for good behavior. Zero.
So it doesn't actually make us behave better. It just makes us feel terrible and act out.
Essentially, yes, it's a destructive force, not a moral guide. It stifles growth.
And it doesn't just stay personal, right?
No.
It creeps into work too.
Oh, absolutely. Peter Sheehan, who writes about innovation, calls shame the secret killer of innovation.
Why is that?
Because innovation requires risk, right? And shame is tied to that deep fear we all have of being wrong, of being belittled, and of feeling less than. It stops us from putting ourselves out there.
Which you have to do to create something new.
Precisely. And this often links to what Dr. Brown calls shame tapes or gremlins.
Gremlins, like little monsters in your head.
Kind of those internal voices telling you you're not good enough, like a writer thinking, real writers don't struggle like this.
Those tapes play loud sometimes.
They do. And shame gets its power from being secret, right? It derives its power from being unspeakable. It loves silence.
So bringing it out into the open is key.
Crucial.
Okay, those shame tapes. They sound universal, but does shame hit differently for men and women?
Yeah, the research shows some clear gendered patterns. For men, there's this unrelenting message that came up constantly in interviews. Do not be perceived as weak.
The classic stoic mandate.
Exactly. Often put really bluntly like, don't be a pussy, sorry for the language, but that's what was said.
No, it's important to hear the reality of it.
And the really painful irony, women often say they want men to be vulnerable, to open up. But often when men do show genuine vulnerability, women can recoil, maybe with fear or disappointment, even disgust. So men learn it's often safer to just pretend to be vulnerable.
Wow, that's a tough spot for everyone involved. What about women?
For women, the big shame triggers often circle around how we look, that pressure to be thin, young, beautiful enough. And the other huge one is motherhood.
The mommy wars and all that.
Exactly. Women get caught in this double bind. You're supposed to be perfect, but make it look effortless. Natural beauty, natural mother, natural leader.
But it's not effortless.
Not at all. And the constant pressure and judgment, if you don't pull it off, it leads to this pervasive mother shame. It's almost like a cultural inheritance for women.
It really highlights how deep these expectations run. Okay, so if shame is this barrier and vulnerability feels risky, we naturally try to protect ourselves, right? Dr. Brown talks about masks and armor.
Yes, it's a really powerful metaphor. We build these defenses.
And how does that work when we're adults? Does it stay obvious?
Not usually. That's the tricky part. The armor kind of molds to us over time, becoming undetectable. It's like a second skin.
So we don't even realize we're wearing it?
Often, no. We forget what's underneath. And the result is disconnection. Even though we put it on to feel safer, when we see someone else armored up, we feel cut off from them.
That makes sense. Okay, so what are the main types of armor? She identified some core ones, right?
Yeah, 3 main shields. The first one is fascinating. Foreboding joy.
Foreboding joy. That sounds contradictory.
It totally is. It's this paradoxical dread. It's when you're feeling really happy, really joyful, and then bam, you start catastrophizing. You imagine disaster striking.
Oh, I know that feeling. Like things are too good to be true.
Exactly. She gives the example of parents watching their kids sleep, feeling immense love, and then suddenly picturing something awful happening. About 80% of parents reported that.
Wow, 80%. So common. Why do we do that?
It's like we're trying to dress rehearse tragedy so we won't be blindsided if something bad does happen. It's a defense against vulnerability.
Okay, so how do you fight that urge? How do you just enjoy the joy?
The strategy is practicing gratitude, and not just like feeling grateful, but actively practicing it.
Like how?
Well, her little daughter taught her about making picture memories. In a happy moment, closing your eyes and taking a mental snapshot to revisit later.
Oh, that's sweet.
And for Dr. Brown herself, it sometimes means literally saying out loud, okay, I'm feeling vulnerable right now, and I'm so grateful for XYZ. It helps lean into the joy instead of the fear.
Actively shifting focus. I like that. Okay, what's the second shield?
Number 2 is perfectionism.
Ah, yes. The pursuit of the flawless.
Right. But it's defined here as the belief that if you do everything perfectly, you'll avoid feeling shame. It's driven by trying to manage perception.
So it's not really about striving for excellence.
Not primarily. It's more about hustling for other people's approval. It's this exhausting, never-ending performance aimed at avoiding blame and judgment.
Sounds utterly draining. How do you shed that armor?
The antidote is embracing good enough.
Just good enough.
Yeah.
That feels radical somehow.
It does. But participants shared really practical mantras. Quick and dirty wins the race. Perfection is the enemy of done. And my favorite, Good enough is really effing good.
Love that.
Yeah. And an artist friend of hers, Nicholas Wilton, he talks about art with a capital A being like the tattered box behind the couch where all the perfectly imperfect stuff lives.
Yeah.
He says art is all just perfectly imperfect. Gives you permission, right?
Permission to be human, basically. Yeah, I like that framing. Okay, third shield.
The third one is numbing.
Okay, like zoning out.
Or it can be lots of things. Using substances, sure, but also overworking, compulsive eating, endless scrolling, staying constantly busy. Anything to dull uncomfortable feelings.
Trying to avoid the hard stuff.
Exactly. But here's the crucial insight. You can't selectively numb emotions. When you numb the darkness, the pain, the fear, you also dull our experiences of love, joy, belonging, creativity, and empathy. Numb the light, too.
Oh, so you miss out on the good stuff as well.
Jennifer Loudon calls these things shadow comforts. They feel like comfort, but they actually diminish your spirit. The key question is, why are you doing it? Is it truly nourishing or just an escape?
That's a really important distinction. So if numbing is the shield, what's the strategy?
It's setting boundaries. The research found two groups. Group A managed anxiety by pushing harder, working later, clearing the inbox. Group B addressed the root of the anxiety by setting limits like no work calls after 9 p.m.
And Group B fared better.
Yeah, they were the ones living more wholeheartedly because fundamentally you have to believe I am enough to be able to say enough. Setting boundaries requires that sense of worthiness.
That makes so much sense. I am enough so I can say enough. Powerful. Are there other shields besides those main three?
Yeah, she mentions a few others briefly. There's the Viking or victim mindset, seeing everything as win-lose, strong, weak, no gray areas.
All or nothing thinking.
Right. Then floodlighting, that's like oversharing intensely personal stuff way too quickly, maybe out of desperation, without checking if the listener has earned that intimacy.
TMI, basically.
Kinda, yeah. Related is smash and grab, using vulnerability manipulatively, like dropping bombshells to grab attention, then serpentining, dodging conflict or difficult conversations by weaving and bobbing, never facing things head on.
Avoiding.
And finally, cool cynicism, criticism, cruelty, using aloofness or judgment as armor, acting like you're above it all because caring or being enthusiastic feels too vulnerable, too lame.
Wow. So many ways we try to armor up. It's kind of eye-opening.
It really is.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the defenses, but this deep dive is really about what happens when we dare to take the armor off. Let's talk about the impact in the real world, starting with, say, relationships and trust.
Okay. So in relationships, trust isn't just there. It's defined as a product of vulnerability that grows over time. She uses the metaphor of a growing marble collection.
A marble collection, how does that work?
Every time someone shows up for you, respects your vulnerability, keeps your confidence, it's like adding a marble to the jar. Trust builds slowly, marble by marble.
I like that visual. And the opposite?
The opposite is devastating. Shaming someone we love around vulnerability is the most serious of all security breaches. It's using that sacred, shared vulnerability as a weapon.
That breaks trust instantly.
Absolutely. It damages the very foundation. And the research definition of love really ties into this. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known.
Allowing ourselves to be seen.
And when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection, it's an act of cultivation.
So love isn't just a feeling. It's this ongoing practice of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And honoring that vulnerability in each other. Marble by marble.
Beautifully put, yes.
Okay, moving beyond personal relationships.
Yeah.
What about work?
Yeah.
Leadership? Does vulnerability have a place there? It seems counterintuitive for some.
Hugely important, actually. It's seen as critical for creativity and innovation. There's a great story where Dr. Brown was talking to a CEO, Kevin Suris, about barriers to innovation.
Yeah.
And he said the biggest barrier was something related to fear. And she realized, wait, my research on shame and vulnerability speaks directly to that because learning, creating, innovating, they're all inherently vulnerable acts.
Just a risk being wrong or failing.
Exactly. And we see this in leaders who actually model vulnerability, like Christine Day when she was CEO of Lululemon. She talked about shifting from needing to major in being right all the time.
Yeah, a lot of leaders feel that pressure.
To empowering her team by creating space for them to take risks, make mistakes, and learn. Her job wasn't to have all the answers, but to lead people well.
That takes trust in your team and vulnerability in yourself.
Definitely. And you can tell when a workplace culture embraces this. You hear phrases like, I don't know, I need help, I disagree, can we talk about it?
Things people are often scared to say at work.
Right. Or, it didn't work, but I learned a lot. I'm sorry. Thank you. These signal a courageous, vulnerable culture.
And there's a tool for feedback too, right?
Yes, the engaged feedback checklist. It's about giving feedback by metaphorically sitting next to you rather than across from you, putting the problem in front of both of you to solve together. Less judgment, more connection.
That sounds much more constructive. Okay, finally, parenting, which, as she says, is often by far my boldest and most daring adventure.
And let's be honest, often a shame and judgment minefield.
Oh, yes. How does vulnerability play out here? This feels huge.
It's foundational. Because our stories of worthiness, where we learn if we're enough, they start in our families. And the key thing is what we are teaches the child more than what we say.
Oof. Actions speak louder than words.
Big time. There's amazing advice from Toni Morrison she shares. When your child walks into the room, let your face speak what's in your heart. Meaning, let the first message they get be, I'm so glad to see you, before you jump to correcting their messy hair or asking about homework. Prioritize connection over correction in that first moment. Unconditional joy.
That's powerful. Simple, but powerful.
And maybe the hardest, bravest thing for parents. It's letting their children struggle and experience adversity.
Not rescuing them all the time.
Exactly. There's a story about her daughter having to swim a really tough race she was terrified of, and the goal shifted. It wasn't about winning or even finishing perfectly. The new goal was just show up and get wet.
Show up and get wet.
Yeah.
I love that. It redefines success.
Totally. It's about courage and engagement, not just outcome. And this leads to a really important difference she highlights. Fitting in versus belonging.
Okay, what's the distinction?
Fitting in is about changing yourself to be accepted, being accepted for being like everyone else. Belonging is being accepted for you, flaws and all.
True belonging.
Yes, and fostering that unconditional belonging is critical for kids to develop worthiness. But here's the rub. We can't give our kids what we don't have ourselves. So parents need to cultivate their own belonging and worthiness too.
So we have to do the work alongside them. It all comes back to our own journey.
It really does.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up. This deep dive has really shown that vulnerability isn't the enemy. It's not weakness. It's actually the source, the wellspring of courage, compassion, real connection.
And understanding shame, that sneaky barrier, and how to work through it is essential if we want to embrace vulnerability and live that more wholehearted life.
It really is about choosing to show up, isn't it? Even when it's deeply uncomfortable.
That's the core of it, showing up.
So, for you listening, maybe the challenge is to think about one piece of armor you rely on. Just one. Is there one you might be ready to maybe loosen the grip on this week?
Yeah, and ask yourself, are the things you do for comfort actually nourishing your spirit? Or are they just, temporary escapes from the hard feelings, ultimately kind of diminishing you?
It's a tough question. Maybe think about your own shame tapes. What stories do they tell? Or perhaps identify a stretch mark friend, someone who loves you because of your struggles, not despite them.
And maybe practice just a little bit of vulnerability with them. Because the research is clear, and Dr. Brown says it so well. The willingness to show up changes us. It makes us a little braver each time.
A little braver each time. That feels like a hopeful place to end.